Of the world. Welcome to Marketing as a Foreign Language, episode 303. Today, I will be talking about hiring, firing, gain, and loss, the spiritual journey that is involved in every business that oftentimes is only called human resources, which to me is, I guess, a word to describe it. Um, there are people on this planet, and I tend to look at individuals as souls. That happens to be my particular choice of perspective. So when I look at someone, the body of that particular person to me is just similar to let me put you this way. If someone comes up to me and and there's some and they identify with their car, right? They're like, oh, a Cadillac this, and they're all just totally all about their Cadillac. It's like identifying who you are with your vehicle, and there's a lot of people that do that. There's a lot of people that identify with their job. This is very normal. Like, hey, how's it going? Just immediately, what do you do? What's your profession? Oh, I'm a doctor. I'm a, this sort of thing. It could be anything. People identify as a father, as a husband, as a wife, as a whatever you have it. I tend to think soul. And so because I look at the experience, the human experience, almost like the body itself is just the vehicle that kind of gets you from point A to point B, because that's my perspective. When there are people in my life who move on to new and exciting things, I see it from that perspective. You know what I mean? It's like, first of all, I can't predict the future. I have no idea what's going to happen. And they don't either. And so what I'm talking about today is hiring, firing, gaining employees, losing employees. So we'll start with hiring. Um, when people come into interviews, it's so funny. When I first started doing interviews, I thought to myself, ooh, I had that kind of ego thing that happens, where I let me change this light. Um, how do I describe it? Yeah, you're sitting on the other side of the desk, and that is interesting. It's there's just a lot of ego that get into that. I'm the interviewer, this sort of thing. Um, I've made it to the other side of the table, and I remember being all excited about it, right? And then as the years have gone by, when I interview folks, it's very, 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 very casual. That's my particular style. I learned that everyone has an interview style. Um, and I'm looking for a few things. The first of which is the truth. Like, I love when people are honest in interviews, I do. Um, if I get a sense that they are hiding things from me, or they're, for lack of a better word, just kind of throwing up some BS. And you just, you move through that space and you get better at it as the years go. And it's interesting, and I still do enjoy it. What I've learned is that, people are they have a huge incentive, just like dating, to show you, just their best possible side. It's like that. And when folks join the team, in my experience, they don't make it very long. And this is an old adage, fire quickly, which is to say that, you hopefully you get really good, as a hiring manager, and you understand that, you can get a good sense of someone, and then they join the team. And small businesses, you want longevity, you want all that stuff. And sometimes you'll bring someone on and they will just completely revolutionize the entire business. They're so good, they're so talented. And it's like, they're so good and they're so talented, so they're worth a lot of money. You know what I mean? So it's like, y- it, small businesses are in this sort of conundrum where, if you're a small business that sells something, you can scale pretty quick, right? If you're selling like a physical, like a set of products, you can blow up on TikTok and you can just your sales can just absolutely go through the roof and it can go real fast. Service-based businesses, relationship-based businesses, it's true that they can skyrocket. They can jump that quickly. Um, but relationships take time to build and yeah, every business is different. And so there's this difficult conundrum of trying to grow quickly enough basically. Because when it comes to people's value, we're all underpaid. You ever get that feeling? You know what I mean? Where you just look around, you're like, "Oh, we're all underpaid." I guess you've got the Bezoses and the Google engineers of the world making 260, but they're probably going, "You know what? I could make 315 over at this other place." That's just the human condition. So I would love to pay. You know what I mean? I would love to pay more. It's just wild. So hiring, people come in, you have a good chat with them. It's so funny. Resumes will often have everything. I will see resumes they'll have WordPress, SEO, pay per click, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, you name it, all of it. I do everything. WordPress, Avada, and then you start working with them, and then it's like, can you be an Italian chef, a French chef, a Chinese? It's like, come on. There are some people in the East and in the West, obviously, as well, but it's more common, I think, in the East where they will specialize in literally one dish, and their grandfather made that dish, and they've been making this dish for 4 generations, and the noodles are perfect, and everything about it is perfect because it's been perfected over generations. And so as people, we pour our energy into things and we make them better because we got these big old brains of ours. So you hire, and I I've had the experience, and I think this is probably one of the biggest compliments ever. Um, which is when folks tend to leave the company, they do so. It's a emotional departure, and not in a like a rage quit kind of way. You know what I mean? Um, I have multiple moments in my mind of people just, you can tell there's struggle there. It's struggling to be like, okay, I'm gonna go do this other thing, make this other decision. And going back to Buddha and the Four Noble Truths, attachment is the cause of suffering. It's like change, the winds of change, getting real comfortable with being uncomfortable, getting real comfortable with things not looking the same as they did. Can you imagine the difference between Amazon 15 years ago and Amazon today? Facebook 15 years ago and Facebook today? And just because you get bigger doesn't mean that you've cracked the code either. I fall into this trap all the time, which is, if there were more people here, it would be better. If there was more revenue, it would be better. That obviously is not necessarily the case. Um, and yet I'm attached to growth. I'm attached to growth because ultimately I believe that the people that work with me deserve more. I feel like they deserve more. They deserve more responsibility. They deserve to work in a bigger company. So that's my attachment, and I'll own that. And so trying to be equanimous, peaceful, tranquil during moments where it feels like it's going in the other direction is part of leadership 101. Leadership 101. And I don't know how anyone can possibly teach you that. I suppose you could be in a company and the company could lose an incredible staff member and you could watch leadership gracefully work through that, you know. That is sort of the goal is to have grace. And mentally you could be, and I think this is the truth, which is mentally, I feel like everyone can be having a panic attack. So I don't know what like enlightened bodhisattvas are out there that are just completely calm. As the third patriarch of Zen so famously said, the great path is not difficult for those that have no preferences. So if you are just completely, because at that point it's company, no company, right? Profit, no profit, just no preference, doesn't matter. Now, some people take that to say just completely checking out and it, just sort of like spiritual nonsense. That's one perspective. Another perspective is, when a great basketball player decides what shot they're going to take, they're just as happy taking a three as they are a two. That's another version of no preference where it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to score either way. So there's still a goal there. That's another example of no preference, or wu wei in Mandarin, Chinese. Um, in regards to hiring and firing, I feel like the wu wei is okay. Okay. Like, I think if someone comes to you, or there's some loss or something in a company, um, and you panic, you really do panic, and you don't allow to quickly sort of move into that next phase, then yeah, it can be really damaging. But what does no preference mean in hiring? Hmm. That's a good question. Someone comes in and they've got the qualifications, let's say, and I think no preference would be they begin and then it's just clear whether or not it works or it doesn't work. And then whether it works or it doesn't work, if you're so attached to it not working or you're so attached to it working, that'll cloud your judgment. So I've seen this. I've been in companies like this before where I look around and there are folks not doing anything. Just shocking. And it's so clear to me. And leadership just sort of must be attached to the idea of just having them. Like, this is like they just want them around. And I just look at the quality of the work or the lack thereof. I've worked with people who would come to the office and work on their own projects for like 4 hours a day. Can you imagine? 4 hours a day, and then sort of pontificate during a meeting, and then go back to working on their stuff. And I'm like, you are paying this person to just build their own business. Like, it's wild, absolutely wild. Um, and then firing. So I mean, it's always within like a first month or two for me, I want to say. When it comes to employees, like, if you make it through like probably like a 3 to 6 month period, I think zero is the number of people that I've let go after they've made it through that sort of initial gauntlet. Um, but yeah, when it comes to paying folks, especially in this kind of economy where there are jobs out there where they will be able to pay twice as much, with benefits and that sort of thing. And the ego says, "Oh, you didn't do it." Like, if you're a business owner, I'll put you this way. Pretend you're a business owner, or you are a business owner, and you hire and you work with someone for a while, and then they find a better job. They find a better job. It's sort of like, okay, okay, congratulations, and you move on. And good for them, honestly, because at the end of the day, if you really care about that person on a soul level, you will be not just what's the word to describe it? You won't just be fake happy. You'll actually be happy for them. You'll actually be happy for them. And the amount of faith that goes into business is way more than I thought, to be honest with you. It is way more than I initially thought, especially when it's your company, because the captain just has faith that you're going to make it to shore. And then when that faith wavers, everybody feels it. They're looking to you going, are we going to make it through this? And you're like, yeah, this is storm number 96. Right? Like, yeah, I haven't been in this precise one, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I've been in storms, and here's another one. I had someone working for me at one point. When she left, I gave her a cape. Isn't that wild? I gave her a cape. I thought, and I was like, because I'm not going to say her name, obviously, but super. She's super. And these departures, these sort of like happy departures, if that makes any sense. Wild. Absolutely wild. So, when it comes to hiring and then when it comes to firing, if you are a business owner, there is no explanation needed. Everything I said, you'll just nod because you understand. For those that are kind of like, okay, I get it. I get it, Kellen. Um, but you're a solopreneur or you haven't quite owned the business. Um, what a dance. The HR dance, you know what I mean? And as companies grow too, it changes because small company culture is just very different than, 50, 70, 100 employees. The inner machinations of the Machiavellian structure of a large company is very, very different. Small business is the only one I can really speak to. And I'll tell you this, the relationships in a small business are kind of like a scrappy softball team. A scrappy, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's sort of like, you all know that if the business takes off, here's the small business promise. The small business promise is, look, we could we could hit a grand slam. It's entirely possible. We could figure this out. We could quadruple in size. And guess what? You are the core team that made that happen. That's the small business promise. It's like, yeah, we may not be a public company with stock options, but should we explode in a good way? Forget it. Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. So buckle up. Here we go to the moon. That's the promise of a small business, and at least my kind of small business. I suppose there are small businesses out there where the promise is, hey, look, you know, you're not going to have Greg from HR leaning over your desk being like, okay, I'm going to need you to work on Saturday. Like, you know what I mean? It's actually a more of a tight knit, hopefully positive work environment with flexibility and things like that. Um, my particular vision is to get to the point where either there are franchisees or there are like 300 clients, multiple account managers, all working remotely, no need for an office, never need for an office, where we don't micromanage and where we hire well so that the apparatus itself is positive. It's an overwhelmingly positive work experience is the dream. Now, as people join and they work for a couple of years, I mean, I don't know. I mean, could you possibly even judge your company based off of attrition? Is that even, you know, you could, I suppose, if, people come in and they leave all the time and you're having a hard time holding on to people. I suppose that's true. And then, of course, the economy changes. The economy this time last year in the midst of the pandemic, I mean, people were like, oh, thank the Lord, I have a job. Thank the Lord. And things have shifted. Interest rates so low. So many people have so much equity in their homes. A lot of investment has gone into business, and we've ended up with a swing. With a swing. So my challenge to you is to look at individuals uh, on a soul level. If that's not your vibe, if you don't, if you when I say the word soul, you just cringe, then I would ask that you look at them as a mother, a friend, a father, a coach. You know what I mean? Like look at them as the entirety of their being, as someone who's battling their mind, who has anxieties and dreams and hopes and fears and all of those sorts of things, because I think. it's too easy as the owner of a company to bottleneck someone's personality into their role for the company. Um, I take a much more holistic approach. And then when attrition happens, it just makes so much more sense. It's like, I get it. I get where you're coming from. I understand. I get it. And you never know. You never know what's going to happen. Um, all relationships are worth investing into. Um, and by that, I mean, when we love someone, we don't necessarily need to invite them to dinner. Okay. So I'm not saying, that's a step too far. I'm talking about mentally. If you can mentally go through the Rolodex of every person you've ever known and feel at peace with your relationship with them, to love them for what they've gone through. Again, I'm not saying you have to go hang out with this person. Okay. I'm talking about having poison in your heart for any individual on the planet. That's obviously just hurting you. And it's not a fruitful endeavor. And so, as the big hippie yogi that I am, it comes back to love and faith. Love and faith. Love in people's journey. And it's so transient, our experience with people. They're here and they're gone. I mean, think back to these friends you had in elementary school. Here and gone, here and gone, here and gone. It is the natural flow of the human experience. And getting comfortable with that is obviously quite it's the adventure of life, is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the show for today. Marketing is a Foreign Language, episode 303. If you're wondering about marketing, hiring and firing, I'll just say this. The people that you have are your marketers. I mean, the staff, your team members, these are the people that are going to they're your outward facing, they're the avatars of your company. And so when it comes to hiring and firing, I mean, these are the marketing decisions. Are you kidding me? Incredibly important, because they are a reflection of your values. They are a reflection of the company that you keep, and it is so important. But I can't tell you anything you don't already know. So I do appreciate you listening. I really do. If you love the show, why don't you swing by youtube.com/send it rising. Go hit a bunch of thumbs up buttons. Go hit that subscribe button. It's really, really, really helpful. So thank you again. And we will hopefully. Oh, I was criticized the other day because I'm not shamelessly promoting myself. In case you don't know, I own a company. It's called Send It Rising. SendItRising.com is the name of the website. And we build WordPress websites, gorgeous WordPress websites. We do long form blog content. We manage Google ads. We manage LinkedIn ads. We manage Facebook ads. If you have an internet issue that you are dealing with in regards to marketing on any level, these are the problems that we solve. So why don't you reach out to us? info@senditrising.com. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you later.